it's just like your whole world is collapsing down on you. And it's frightening.
Easter Knox lives just over a mile from XAI.
I really wasn't getting the fresh air. I was getting that pollution that was mixed in with everything.
You know how you light your stove and that gas seeps with the little ticking noise? That's what it smelled like.
Alexis Humphreys grew up here, one street away from Easter.
When I smelled it the first time, I was asleep. And it woke me up because I thought gas was seeping in the house, but come to find out, we come outside and all the neighbors was outside trying to figure out what's going on.
The area around XAI leads the state in emergency department visits for asthma. Memphis has one of the highest rates of toxic air releases of any American city, and many of its most polluting facilities are in this neighborhood.
He was an ordinary dad, full of joy, full of jokes.
Last year, Alexis lost her grandfather, who struggled with a respiratory illness called chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD.
COPD is a breathing condition, but you don't get it unless you smoke cigarettes. And my granddad didn't smoke cigarettes, but every 3 weeks or so, my granddad was going to the hospital. He would have to get breathing treatments. I have asthma, bronchitis. My mom have just bronchitis, and now my granny has it.
Easter and her husband have also developed COPD. What does it feel like?
Feel like you're fixing to die.
Elon, what he did with Memphis is objectively somewhat dirty, but he's also doing it in an area where there's like a bigger natural gas plant right next door and like a wastewater treatment and a garbage dump nearby, right? And he's obviously made the world a lot more clean than that one data center.
In just 1 year, XAI has blown past existing polluters.
They're emitting somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 tons of NOx. I'm an air pollution guy, so I deal in those numbers all the time, and that's larger than anything else in Memphis.
Gas turbines like these release three main types of deadly pollution: nitrogen oxides, formaldehyde, and fine particulate matter. Nitrogen oxides combine with other pollutants to form ground-level ozone, which causes and worsens asthma and COPD. Formaldehyde causes cancer, and particulate matter, airborne soot, can pass through your lungs and into your bloodstream, causing heart disease.
Most companies that I've dealt with go to great lengths and spend a lot of money to make sure that the day they turn on their operations, they're also turning on their pollution control equipment. That's a given. For a company to do this, it's treating the people who live there as if they don't count.
You can't.
To another edition of Let It Be Known, and wow, that environmental racism is real.
Yeah, peace and love, everybody. I'm Niele, and we have a lot of headlines to get through today. We have news from Kappa Alpha Psi, Venus Williams, Chris Paul, and so many other headlines. But I think the two that we just started with are important. I know I saw Orange G saying that we need to continue to talk about Epstein, and Donald Trump and Congress is doing everything that they can. Congress, you know, the GOP just left. They said we're not coming back to September. We don't want to deal with it. And Donald Trump yesterday just went off on Obama for no reason. Yeah. And Obama snapped back with like, I usually don't, but I have time today.
Well, and it's ridiculous because you know he never claimed that that Russia helped Trump. He just said Russia interfered in the 2016 election, but that was a bipartisan Senate committee led by Marco Rubio, who determined that Russia tried to interfere in the election.
So I think Obama did it. He pointed all that out and said, back up off me, leave me alone. And so
you know what happened? What's going to happen? He's going to start pulling their Obama and Clinton and others. He's going to pull their Secret Service details. Watch.
Yeah. And then the second story, as you know, we talk about Elon Musk. And environmental justice and pollution. The NAACP has sued Elon Musk for polluting the Black community. And so they are on the front line about that. But we were talking about that yesterday and how certain government agencies are pulling funding and investigations into long systemic racism as it relates to Black communities in this country. And so these are stories we definitely have to continue to uplift.
And I say that I think it was yesterday we talked about Epstein, or the day before, whenever it was, we talked about Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell. Didn't I say that she was going to get a pardon? Now there's a lot of talk, and now the DOJ is meeting with her. Trump's DOJ and his some people from his cabinet are meeting with her. This is leading to a part, and her lawyer comes out and says, we support Mr. Trump's et cetera, with the files or whatever. Yeah, we get it. We know what's going on here. Give me a break. You talk about cover-ups. This guy ran on stuff like, getting rid of the cover-ups and the swamp and all that stuff. He is the cover-up. He is the swamp. Give me a break. That's what's gonna. I mean, look, if the writing's been on the wall, if we by now can't read this guy, then we should get out of the business because this guy is so easy to read. Unbelievable.
For sure.
Folks, for far too long, staying connected to loved ones behind bars has come at a cost, literally. Incarcerated individuals, and I talked about this recently, I mentioned this anyway, disproportionately Black and brown have had to scrape together change to speak with their children, their partners, or parents, or loved ones. But starting August 1st, New York will make phone calls free inside its state prisons. There will be no more per minute charges, no more placing their price on human connection. This isn't just about saving money. It's about preserving dignity and restoring ties that mass incarceration has ripped apart, particularly in Black communities, Niele.
For sure. There was a report this year that said private and public prisons make about $350 billion annually off of phone calls, commissary, and money transfers. And so this is not about justice. This is about filling beds in prisons for mostly privatized prisons. And we were on a trajectory to begin to phase out privatized prisons, but because they are Donald Trump's boys and friends, we're just going to see this number grow.
Yeah. And like I said, I've done stories in the past on the amazing amount, the huge amount of money that has cost parents to, or parents and loved ones and everyone else to speak to their loved ones who are incarcerated. It's so ridiculous. And it's that whole prison complex, two of the major privatized prisons are Core and Geo Civic. I covered them a lot as well. And I follow how Donald Trump is so intertwined with those two privatized prisons. And then to see how many lawmakers in Congress have stock investments in these prisons. So as long as people, even our lawmakers, see that there is a profit in this, it's going to be hard to dismantle privatized prisons. But I don't think the American people also understand how it works and how like companies like Victoria's Secrets and Airmark, all of these private companies that we even shop at, they benefit from privatized prisons because they get the contracts or they have the inmates making the clothes at below minimum wage. So as long as you have somebody like a Donald Trump in office, privatized prisons are only going to get worse. And the burden, of course, as we know, when we look at people who are incarcerated, the burden really falls on the family members, the people that are outside, that have to go visit these people, that have to make sure they have money on their books, to make sure that they're able to have deodorant and clothing that's commissary. So it's a burden, and it mostly falls on communities of color. Yeah, absolutely. And we'll keep watching. Hopefully, New York won't be the first or the only, I should say, state to do this. Hopefully, this spreads, but we will see. Folks, it's no secret that building wealth in America requires more than just hard work. It demands access, information, and opportunity. A new study by the J.P. Morgan Chase Institute shows that more Americans are now moving their money into investment-bearing accounts like money markets and brokerage accounts, trying to get returns that traditional savings can't offer. But here's the truth. While this trend signals resilience in the economy for some, for too many Black families is yet another reminder of how we remain locked out of the real game of wealth building in communities where the median bank balance barely crosses $1,000 and where predatory lending, underbanking, and economic exclusion have been generational burdens. Investment income feels like a foreign language to many, many folks. So you got to watch what they're doing too, because they're taking their money out of the banks. They're not buying homes. Their companies are buying homes. Something's up, folks. That's what I say, Niele.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely a cautious scenario. You know, a lot of people feel like they should take their money out of traditional banking institutions and put it under their mattress at this point in the game. And so, you know, and then it's like a lot of time building financial wealth, you think maybe I should have a Black financial a consultant, you know, manage my money. But at this point, it is scary either way. You know what I mean? Because
it is.
401ks are not what they used to be. You know, the market is volatile. And if you don't really have enough money to play the game and you're just dabbling in it, you're probably going to lose. A lot of people say invest in cryptocurrency, but most of us don't even understand truly how it works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, MB says most people in the U.S. have less than $400 in savings, and that is true. Mike V says start banking Black. One United is his go-to bank, and of course we know RNG puts his money under the mattress and he charges his son an extraordinary amount of student loan interest. So we all know that, RNG. I just wonder. I mean, all this time has passed. RNG, did he make his payments? Did he fulfill his obligation on those student loan debts? Let's find out. I'm always here for it. And I'm always on his son's side, although RG doesn't care who's on his son's side. Folks, also.
Wait, Patricia Jackson brought up a good point. She says life insurance is also something we need to have. That is true, because GoFundMe is definitely not the source to pay for funerals.
Absolutely.
You know, and sometimes it does happen. We get it, but it shouldn't be a source. And you sending out text messages saying that, you know, I don't have enough money to bury my loved one. So to that point, for sure.
He says his son isn't allowed back into his house. He says, I need my money. So, oh boy, that's a situation that's taking a turn.
And MB also says, also cryptocurrency empties out our regular currency of value. Yeah, it's a volatile situation. And like you say, if most people don't have $400 in the bank, you know, how are you really going to invest in your future?
Yeah. And going back real quick to life insurance, Patricia Jackson mentioned about life insurance. A lot of folks, believe it or not, they do use that really to build wealth as well for the next generation. Some folks have started real early and they have what you call those whole life, where it builds all of this money up over the years. And so they're also able to, because it's the difference between whole life and term life, you know, and they're able to build that wealth for the next generation that way. So it's another thing to think about that we typically, generally as African Americans, don't do. So, and you're 100% right. It's always sad when you see somebody having to use GoFundMe when a loved one dies.
For sure.
Folks, Black sitcoms. Let's talk about something more, I guess, happy. Have long been the heartbeat of American television, blending humor, heart, and social insight to uplift communities and shift cultural narratives. From 1970 trailblazers to 1990s icons, these shows provided representation, shaped identities, and cracked ceilings in an industry that once sidelined Black stories. They bridged the gap between comedy and cultural commentary, offering laughter, lessons, and a mirror in which Black audience could finally see themselves authentically. At the center of this legacy stands Theo Huxtable, the charming, intelligent middle son of not Bill, but Claire and Cliff Huxtable on The Cosby Show. Of course, we know Theo was portrayed by the unfortunately late Malcolm Jamal Warner. Theo wasn't just a kid on TV, he was America's son. Emmy nominated and beloved, Theo navigated teenage life with curiosity, humor, and vulnerability. For countless viewers, he was a relatable blueprint for Black masculinity, smart, emotionally expressive, and full of potential. Tragically, of course, he passed away a few days ago in an accidental drowning while vacationing in Costa Rica. Costa Rica. Costa Rica. Okay. And for the character is the outpouring of grief and gratitude for his work and for the character who shaped a generation. Bill Cosby, many co-stars and fans around the globe have reflected on the warmth, depth, and quiet power Theo brought to living rooms across America. His loss marks not just the end of Warner's life, but the closing of a cherished chapter in television history. So in honor of that legacy and the timeless impact of Black sitcoms, IMBD and News Totter compiled a ranking of the greatest Black sitcoms of all time. And they mentioned, of course, number one, the Bill Cosby Show, the Cosby Show. And I don't think anybody can argue with that at all. Some of the other shows they listed in order. The Jeffersons, I was surprised that the Jeffersons, and folks, you can put in the chat your top sitcom of all time, but I was surprised the Jeffersons came in second, followed by A Different World, which I thought was going to come in second, which was followed also by Good Times, Martin, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, The Steve Harvey Show, Family Matters, Living Single, and one of my favorites of all time, Sanford and Son. Honorable mentions went to Different Strokes, Amen, Moesha, 227, and The Jamie Foxx Show. So those are their top, really 15 shows. But I see Mike V says, I always like rock. I see Living Singles. Dr. Joni said she loved Good Times. Different World was amazing as well. Niele, you have a favorite?
I mean, I like all those shows. They were all good shows. Yeah. I mean, the 80s and the 90s were a great time for sitcoms and the expression of the Black experience. And I think all of those shows identified an aspect of our culture and how we live. Something Sanford and Son, you know, that was an experience in the Black community. I think one of the ones that I didn't see on here is Girlfriends. Right. That was a great show, and it was like everybody talked about friends, but we had girlfriends, you know what I mean? And so it was just different. All of these shows represent a different cultural experience, even from the cities that the shows were loosely based in. Like Martin was in Detroit, so you got the Detroit vibe. You know, Good Times was in Chicago. You got the Chicago vibe. Fresh Prince from Bel-Air gave you a social elite experience of a Black experience of a rich family, you know, and of course the Cosby Show. I mean, I think that set the tone of showing you the diversity and the class and dignity that the Black experience had that many hadn't seen at that point.
I like that Mike V mentioned Charles Dutton typified Black patriarchy as it was. Rock was to me, Rock is one of the more unsung of the Black TV, Black centered TV sitcoms. It was a working class Black man, garbage truck driver, or garbage collector, or whatever you want to call it, but very, very very hardworking, very he enjoyed his life. He didn't have to be rich to enjoy his life, but he certainly enjoyed his life. He and his wife were a great team. You know, he had the goofy brother, but who got into trouble, and Rock would have to bail him out. His brother was a playboy and all that stuff, but it was a really good show. And that was, you talked about the representations. That was Baltimore.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I know one that's out now that you guys, if you haven't seen it, The Upshaws with Kim Fields as well as Mike Epps and I forget her name, but it's centered around Mike Epps and Kim Fields as a married couple. He's a mechanic. He gives you a little ignorance of George Jefferson. But that's a good one that's out now that gives you that nostalgic feeling of just old school sitcoms. You know, just funny about Black family and the things that we experience and go through. Wanda Sykes, that's it. Nancy Wall. Wanda Sykes plays Mike Epps' sister-in-law, Kim Phil's sister. It's hilarious.
You know, I always said one of the greatest things about the Jeffersons, George Jefferson's character, similar to Archie Bunker's character, it showed you just how silly racism was. When you look beneath the craziness, you understood just how stupid racism was and is.
For sure. Another one somebody brought up, offered, what's happening? What's happening? Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
What's
Raj
happening?
rerun. Yeah.
D was hilarious.
D was, oh my gosh, she was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, and those clips are going around for some reason on TikTok right now. What's
Yeah.
happening? And a lot of the clips are from D, and how she'd be like, "Mama, Roger." It's just hilarious. I mean, that was a great show. And somebody else brought up Blackish, one of the best today time sitcoms. Blackish really was a hilarious show that we hated to see go. And then they had shows that birthed out of that. You had Blackish, you had Grownish, and you had Mixedish. So that was another good series.
Yeah, I remember Mabel Thomas. You talk about what's happening, and I visited her just before she died at the Motion Picture and Television Hospital in Woodland Hills, California, and I remember well. The only person from from Hollywood that would visit her was the what's his name who played Raj. She had lost her legs, and it was a lot there. But she was a very charming person, very nice. At least my short experience with her, very nice individual, down to earth, as they say, and humble.
And you know, I mean, for sure. And another one that we left off was 227. 227 was another good one. You know,
yeah,
that was good. And then what about Benson? Remember Benson?
Oh my gosh, yes, indeed. I was just watching Soap recently. Soap was absolutely hilarious, and that spent off to Benson's show.
We got Half and Half.
Yeah, that was awesome. But again, the sitcom of all sitcoms, and to me, you can argue with the wall on this, but that set the tone, and that really, really, really showed the right side of Black America, that taught Black America so much, that really introduced many who didn't understand the value of education, of culture, was the Cosby Show. And unfortunately, as we said, we early this week, the loss of Malcolm Jamal Warner. And here to talk to us this morning, none other than the greatest TV dad of all time, Bill Cosby. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Cosby. Okay, I'm not getting value.
I wish I had a hand clap.
Mr. Cosby, can you hear us? Okay, Greer, we're having trouble with the audio.
Well, while we are waiting for Dr. Cosby, what's your favorite Cosby Show episode? What's your favorite episode or favorite?
There are several, so many to choose from. The shirt episode with Theo. Of course, we all love. So many people. You ask today, who made the song "Night and Day," and they'll say Bill Cosby. That episode, it showed us how we should celebrate our parents and our grandparents. That was so amazing to me.
Well, there was this one episode where Theo was like, he didn't want to raise the bar and be like his mom and dad, and he just wanted to be regular people.
Oh, God.
So Dr. Cosby was like, okay, you want to be, so they did the whole Monopoly money, and he was just like, I just don't want to do it. And Dr. Cosby said, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard."
And no one expected that line, right? No one expected that line.
There were so many lessons that we learned from the Cosbys.
Yeah, it was so many valuable lessons that you hoped, even at the time, in which hopefully we can get Mr. Cosby's audio together, but so many lessons that we were learning, and you hope that people took away and really applied in their own lives, because even listening to Malcolm, so much is being played now of Malcolm, and hear him talk about his own father and how important his own father has been in his life. And you think about that, because of course we have that myth that Black fathers are not, they're not active in the lives of their children. And Malcolm talked about his own father being so integral in his life and driving his career. And so then he goes on to the Cosby Show, and one of the things I want to ask Mr. Cosby, once we get his audio together, is how did he land on that? How did he land on wind up picking Malcolm for the Theo role? Because obviously it seems so
Cosby.
it seems perfect. Because Malcolm seems to have had that upbringing that epitomizes what the Cosby Show was trying to show us.
Right, for sure. I mean, the whole era, Gen X, the Gen X era was the era that really grew up to the Cosby Show. And so, there's a lot of single parent homes. And so at that time, the Cosby Show was your example of a Black American family. And, the struggle wasn't so much financial, the struggle was just, existing in America, you know what I mean? And some of the challenges that they had, like, Claire Huxtable dealt with, being a woman as an attorney, you know what I mean? And having that respect. Dr. Huxtable, we never really saw a gynecologist, or was he a gynecologist or pediatrician? He was both, right? He was a gynecologist. He delivered babies. So we never saw this, and just the lessons, how they raised their kids. It was just such an example of Black love, Black family, Black excellence, Black dignity. And it set the tone for the other sitcoms to follow.
The thing, outside of the show, I've had the opportunity to have a lot of conversations with Mr. Cosby over the years. I'd say over the past 10 years, we've had a lot of conversations. I'd call him, he'd call me. And one of the things I'll always be grateful for, on a personal note, I was going through something with my son. My son was going through something, I should say. And Mr. Cosby and I were talking about it one day. And this was before his trial was over and things that we talked about it. And he would always, because he would call the house and he would entertain my kids on the phone. They would laugh. We'd be at the dinner table and he'd call. But he would call and he'd always ask me about my son. And recently he did that again. He called, he asked me, he said, I was thinking about Jordan. And to me, it's like, wow, you got like 1.5 million things to think about. And you're thinking about my son. And this was the day that Mr. Cosby was to be sentenced in his trial, and he sat outside the courtroom.
We have him back. He's back. So let's grab him.
Oh, there we are. Mr. Cosby, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
There you are. I was just telling Niele Anderson, my co-host, and our audience, how you personally showed concern for me and my son, and I was about to tell them how Jordan, exactly, and you had called me the day that that dark day, September of whatever, 18, and you sat outside the court and you spent all that time on the phone with me. And I'm saying, Mr. Cosby, don't you have an appointment with that crazy judge? And you're like, he can wait. And I was just so, it always touched me that you took that concern with Jordan, and you still do to this day. You always ask me about Jordan, but this is not about me. It's not about Jordan. This is about your extended family. And the first thing I want to ask you, Mr. Cosby, I know that you've gotten a lot of requests. A lot of people are calling, what do what's your comments? What's your comments? But the one thing you said to me still resonates. Malcolm not only had a family, but we have to remember his mother. His mother it has to suffer through what's happening now. What words of wisdom or words to console that you can share with us that you might be able to share or might have shared with her?
I heard about Malcolm's drowning, and then I heard from someone who said, I don't know if it was media, but someone called Malcolm's mother at that time, and she just hung up. And I did not bother to call Pam. Pam called me about a day after Malcolm drowned. And I will describe to your audience exactly what I heard from the mother of this man.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I said hello, and then I heard a sound, and that sound it was Malcolm's mother, and she just said it was weak. It was a weak sound, and I'm not sure what, if anything. I know she didn't say a word. She was trying to talk. And then I waited maybe 4 seconds, and she said, "Oh, Bill." And I said, "Yes." And I did not stay on that phone any longer because two things happened that day. There was a call from Claire Huxtable, and that is Felicia. And I said hello, and she made the same.
Dr. Cosby, we are so honored to have you today to share memories of the life and legacy of Malcolm Jamal Warner. I am a Gen Xer, so I grew up on the Cosby Show. And for so many years, the Cosby Show, as I was saying earlier, was the example of Black excellence, Black dignity, and just love on how this family dynamic worked, the Huxtables. And so we all love Theo. Can you share with us some of your memories, or maybe the best, your favorite scene that you were able to collaborate with Malcolm Jamal Warner on?
Well, it was a new experience. I was allowed to have my way because the Huxtables came from my written monologues as a speaking comedian, and NBC bought the idea, and I began to take from my experience with my family, and these writers came all white, and the script, the first script, the first show we did was dedicated to an experience that Ennis and I went through. I had to go to another city. It was early in the morning. Ennis came downstairs, and he was ready to go to school. And he said to me, as a teenager, he said to me, "Dad, I just want to say this, that I know you and Mom love me and love us very, very much. But," he said, the way that you're talking about schooling and the future," and he said, "I just want to be regular people." Well, smoke began to form between both ears, and I said to him, I said, "What's regular people?" And he began to describe living in this area, which is a small town, and he didn't want to become anything professional, et cetera, et cetera. And it was through conversation with a friend of ours that Camille and I began to understand dyslexia. And this dyslexia that Ennis in real life has, I decided to use this show to talk about it. And we, the writers and the producers and I, we didn't have many meetings. We just talked about script development. And it became something of psychological. And it was, in fact, very, very believable due to Malcolm's hard work. Malcolm was very, very efficient, very intelligent, and he loved life. This is before he was married, before girlfriends or anything like that. And he and Ennis became close friends.
Mm.
It's important for us to understand that the Huxtables, I decided that Cliff Huxtable, Claire Huxtable did what they wanted to do in terms of formal education. And in their development, they then found love with each other. Then they got married. Life is fantastic. Then came children.
Who you couldn't get rid of.
Well, we didn't try that, but we loved them very much, and the frustration of things. And one of the things that developed, because I kept looking at my mother and watching Camille's mother and father, and as grandparents, they stayed out of the way, and they gave aid when it was necessary. I'm not talking about money, monetary. I'm just talking about family, and it was a guiding thing. When Ennis entered Morehouse, he would call me and he would say, "Dad, I'm studying, so forth and so on. I got it. I got it." Because Ennis trusted his mother and he trusted his father. He believed that we would not guide him. And so he joined us and developed it. And then Ennis went to Landmark, which is a place that was specifically for learning differences, not special class or things like that, learning differences. And specifically, they started talking about, to Ennis, it's the way you learn. And you've got to love learning in order to develop your way of learning. Well, Ennis took like an eagle, just in the nest. He took flight, and the next thing I know, he said, I said to him, "Listen, man, are you going to go back to Landmark?" He said, "No, Dad, I got it. I know how I learn, and I know who I am, and I'm in love with what I want to be." He became a teacher, and he loved children.
Sounds a lot like Theo on the Cosby Show.
Well, there's the development. You see, I had to put that in. The difference is Theo went to NYU. NYU is huge in terms of the number of students, and Cliff had an experience when he went to the graduation. Cliff Huxtable went to the graduation, and Claire, and there were so many people,
Mm-hmm.
and I had seen an NYU graduation, and I said that there are people in different time zones graduating in the city of Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the comedy of it, and I said, well, wait, it was different from the school, the HBCU that Cliff and Claire graduated.
Mm.
It was altogether different. He was looking. Cliff Huxtable was looking for Theo. He said, well, there he is. He's in another time zone. And still, it was with the remarkable family and developing the writers to know what I demanded, what I want from my life experience and my son's experience. Now, just let me get to this part.
Okay.
In graduate school, Ennis came home. He was going to, I will not name the graduate school. He did graduate. He was working towards an EDD, the same degree that Camille has, and the same degree that I have. And we see ourselves as foot soldiers. And Ennis has always thought of himself as delivering to the person, to like doctors do house visits. Okay, so he came home, and we're ready. I'm ready for him to take off his backpack or whatever, and he looked perplexed on purpose. And I said, what's bothering you? He said, we had a test, and they put our grades up on the board, and I went over to see what grade I had. And a fellow came next to me, and he was looking at the board also, and he knew he knows me.
Okay.
And I know. And he said, I got an A. He didn't say that. Ennis said, I got an A. He said, and this guy said to me, you got that A because of affirmative action. I said, and he said, Dad, he said, that's why you see my face. I just don't know what to say. I said, Ennis, it's a life lesson for you. Do you believe you got this because of affirmative action? He said, I don't even know fully what that is. I said, well, let me just help you. You, tomorrow, when you see this fellow, if you see him in your graduate school class, and you say to him, the statement you made about affirmative action, let's you and I go to the professor and ask the professor if he has time to let us know, and you and I will come to him at a time, and he will ask us any questions relating to not the exam, but the class itself, and what we should be reading and what we should be understanding from the lectures. The guy, as time rolled by, I said, "What happened with that?" He thought it was a great idea. He said the guy never showed up. As a matter of fact, he transferred.
Hmm. Wow. Well, Mr.
So,
Cosby, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
so as far as Theo is concerned, in the show, we took him as far as we could go so that he would understand a love for learning and be himself, because that's what you have to do. The people are not working with disabilities. They're working with a difference.
Well, I know that we are short on time with you, but let me just take it back again to Malcolm Jamal Warner, the man. You obviously spent a lot of time. One of the things that I know that you appreciated about him was poetry and his music. Talk a little bit, if you will, about that.
Well, inculcated is Malcolm's mother. The strength of this woman. She called herself his manager, and so did he. But manager is a word, but mother is an emotion, and she didn't play. She, as the old saying goes, she laughs and she jokes, but she doesn't play. And there are times, and I will not be specific, she would call me. She is a divorced woman and mother, and she would say, "Listen, so forth and so on, and such, and Malcolm," and I would say what I had to say, and then Camille would get on the phone and she would talk. But it's important that she was really very, very hands-on and strong and loving. And so Malcolm's development of whatever he wanted to become in his freeness, and he had a lot of, the word demons is not accurate. He had a lot of things to fight because he is from TV. He is sort of successful. He has many fights in reality. He's got media writing things or leaving things out about who he is and what the family is. I must tell you that the two of them, Malcolm and his mother, I don't know about the father. I met the father once. He graduated from Lincoln University just outside of Philadelphia. Seemed like a nice fellow. But Malcolm always related to the experience he had on that Huxtable show, other shows that he, after the Huxtables closed down, he went on to other shows, and he would call me, and he would talk to Ennis, and he would relate how the structure of these shows were not interested in being like the Huxtables. And I told Mr. Brown, I said, Stacy, let me tell you, how that Huxtable show, I don't care what they say or do about it, but all I know is it's the only show in the history of radio or TV where announcements come on. This is not the Huxtable's show. and people meant to do that, and people meant to say that because it wasn't what they wanted for us.
Yeah, Dr. Cosby. So listening to you talk and take your time to tell us about these experiences is so appreciative, because I think just listening to you today, we have a newfound love for Theo's character. Because as you talked about your son, I thought of at least 5 Cosby Show episodes that spun from the conversation that you just had. I want to talk to you a little bit about HBCUs. I ended up going to Grambling State University because of the Cosby Show. I didn't know anything about an HBCU until I saw the Cosby Show, and then, of course, fell in love with a different world. Can you talk to us about why Showing America, the HBCU experience, was so important to the storylines in the Cosby Show and A Different World?
Yes, it's very, very simple. We didn't buy any tickets to get here. Our ancestors were slaves brought here to work for free, separated from family, separated from I just said family, and let that be everything. And is separated from languages, separated from community. And we were always put in a position of not understanding things, of being stupid, of being late with, and all of the things that life will give to us. We always had people over us. And for the Huxtables to get the joy of being in that one floor, Cliff and Claire, coming from one floor in the South with 2 teachers moving from one year to the next in elementary education, and then be able to appreciate education and learning. It's more than just being on the corner. It's more than just standing there being loud and acting a certain way. There's a dignity. And I remember clearly when A Different World followed the Huxtables, the writer for USA Today TV said, why is this show necessary? And I put my hand up to my forehead, and I said to myself, because, you dummy, all my life I've been watching white people and going through their lives and pulling for them to win and win this country. It's not a hatred. It makes sense to think that way. And so it's not a punishment for you. You don't have to identify with us, but we're human beings. And in a humanitarian way, you will join us.
Wow. One of the real quick, Mr. Cosby, one of the things I always talked about when it comes to you, and you've heard me say this many times, there are so many Black or African American celebrities who have grown up on the Black press, who once they became famous, if you will, they tend to leave us behind. You have never done that. I remember back in the 90s, you've always, and you and I have not always had a great relationship, obviously, but you have still made it a point to let me in on things, talk to me about things. Why the Black press? Why have you stuck with the Black press, Mr. Cosby?
Because I'm black.
Oh, you
Well
told me a
said.
story about.
Well said.
He told me a story about Dick Gregory.
Yeah, Dick Gregory said to me when in the beginning, and I was making $35 a week in Greenwich Village, and Dick said to me, when you become a person who was doing concerts in different cities, he said, always remember the Black press and take out ads saying that you're coming, and go and find out the Black radio stations and let them have the interviews and talk to them.
Mm.
There you have it.
There you have it.
Now, Dick Gregory was very profound. And when Dick went on these marches and got his head beaten, and he was serious about this, coming from the state of Illinois and being an intelligent student. It was something that hit him, and I don't mean those nightsticks.
Mm.
I mean something hit him, and he just took charge of himself and found relief from being with civil rights people.
Mm. Dr. Cosby, I really don't have a question, but I do want to say that the American Black experience cannot be told without your contributions. And the Cosby Show really showed America what it is to be Black and of excellence. And so I've truly had an honor speaking to you today. And I just want to say thank you so much, so much. Thank you so much.
Well, I just want to add to both of you. A couple of days ago, the 16th of July, was the 103rd living birthday for Mrs. Rachel Robbins. And she has been responsible for more kids than I can, as the old saying goes, shake a stick at, to get partial scholarships, 12 cents or whatever, to go to places like Stanford, to go to places like Morris Brown. It didn't make any difference. Wherever the student wanted to go and wherever they were accepted. It is wonderful. And this life is something of strength for all of us. I never wavered sitting in that courtroom watching the judge and the district attorney do their thing. Never bothered me. I've seen all that before. I've seen it, and I've met the men and women who lived it. And I found them to be calm. I remember a story, and I won't tell it. I won't tell it.
Please tell it. Tell it.
No, 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 no. I'll tell you in private one time. But this is not to get angry. This is to celebrate a man, 54 years old, asphyxiated, swept out to sea, and then if you can't breathe, listen, that's the example of panic. And his life and where he wanted to go, I will say this: immediately go to the Minnesota Symphony. I think Malcolm did a concert for them. And he called me after the concert and he said, I did exactly what I wanted to do. I feel wonderful about it. And you need to get a tape of that and play it for your audience. Doesn't make any difference if only 2 people show up. And it's difficult to work against heaven.
Well, again, it's always a privilege, Mr. Cosby.
Yes.
We really appreciate all of these great gems that you tend to drop. If anybody's ever talked to Mr. Cosby, you're always going to get a gem. So we appreciate you.
So honored.
Well, let me just say this. There were 2 people in my life. My paternal grandmother and my paternal grandfather. And I will shorten these things up. I came home from college, Temple University in Philadelphia, and I went in and I was so proud, and so was my paternal grandmother. My grandmother was so excited about, and she was talking, and she had never graduated. She had a degree in cosmetology, but that's about hair or whatever. And she was excited that her grandchild was in college, and she said, "Tell me about it." Well, my feeling towards her was I don't want to get too intellectual because there's a couple of classes that I'm having, and I just didn't need to discuss that. And finally, she said to me, "No, I really want to know what is it you all are talking about in college." And I said, "Well, we had a discussion, grandmother." And she said, "Which was what was it about?" And she's from Virginia, uneducated, so to speak, but with a degree in cosmetology, and she reads and plays the piano. So I said, "Well, the professor said today," and we discussed this for an hour and a half. Is the glass half full or half empty? And we discussed that for about an hour and a half, and still we didn't satisfy the professor. So my grandmother looked at me and she said, "Now, what was the question?" I said, "Is the glass half full or half empty?" She said, "Well, it depends on if you're pouring or drinking."
Okay. I never thought of it that way.
Let me tell you, 2 days after that, I put on a sport coat and a tie and went to that class and sat up front with my hand up. It almost turned white because the blood was draining, because I wanted to say what she just said and not even give her credit. My grandfather, who is from Virginia, and he worked at a foundry until he was in his 90s. he's sitting there, and we're playing Chinese checkers, which he made up. And he gave me the marbles and told me to make my move, and I did. And then he took all my marbles. And then Granddad looked at me. I was 9 years old. 9 years old. And he said to me, like I was a grown person. He said, you know, people are worried about senility. He said, I wouldn't worry about it. He said, because when you get it, you won't know it.
Okay. Well, all right then.
Mr. Cosby, we're done here, okay?
Yes, Dr. Cosby, just so you know, though, we have a chat that's going with tons of people watching, and they have shown you so much love, talking about their favorite memories of you. We definitely, Stacy, should get Orangey's question in before we let Dr. Cosby go. He wants to know, will you ever remake or be interested in seeing a remake in a couple of your movies? Let's Do It Again or Uptown Saturday Night. Would you like to see those movies remade?
No.
There you have it.
We listen, there's no sense remaking something because you liked it. Just talk about your own life. You'll be surprised how interesting your own life is.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, Orangey.
I listen. Those were my life in the 1970s. The trilogy. Let's Do It Again, Uptown Saturday Night, and A Piece of the Action. So I'm with RNG on this, Mr. Cosby, and I'm with you too. As since that when people remake, it tends to diminish the product. So if they're gonna do it, they got to do it right.
And since we're on that subject,
I'm telling both of you. Mr. Brown, Troy, and Mr. Brown and Mrs. Brown, that is a story. Sit, write, think, and you will find the humor of it. You will find the people thinking, and people will soon say, when are you going to remake Troy and the Browns?
Well,
because
thank you, sir.
That's our life. Look, I will end this way.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. I tell the audience this sometimes. Became my man, my main man, when I discovered that God told Jesus, you're going to go up on the cross and take all this slamming and bamming, and you're going to save the world. And Jesus said on his knees, looking at the light with the chalice, is there any other way? And God said, no, you will do it this way. And Jesus walked away, came back, and said, is there any other way? And God said, no. Eventually, Jesus said after the third time, not my will, but thine be done. Now, I'm saying to all of this audience, jealousy has no place for any of it. All you have to do is celebrate and do the correct thing.
Well, again, words of wisdom. Thanks again, Mr. Cosby. And again, our sincerest and heartfelt condolences for the Warner family, your family, and all for mourning.
And Pam is so wonderful. That sound, that's woman, and that's birth,
Mm-hmm.
and no man can do that. And you can come up emotionally as man
Mm-hmm.
and start whatever all of that is, but woman, mother, it's strong business.
Mm.
Raising. And Mr. Brown,
Yes.
you have to listen. You have to go to Troy many times. You can see boredom on their faces. That's not working. I've seen boredom on the face of the faces of the young. It is not working on me.
Mm. Well, you're never boring. Always fun, and just
I'm
somebody
serious.
to sit under and learn wisdom from. We so appreciate
Yes,
you.
And
absolutely.
that's the way as you get. That's the way as you get older. Just remember my grandmother and my grandfather. Those people just wanted to let it out and let you know the truth.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, thanks for enlightening us, letting us know the truth. And I do enjoy when I talk to you folks. I get this a lot from Mr. Cosby, and I enjoy every bit
Well,
of it.
you're lucky
And
because I'm on cloud 9 today.
and your face of boredom doesn't bother me at all.
Wait, you can't see my face. Stop it. We had our Stevie
No.
Wonder conversation yesterday. Stop it.
Hey, forget about that.
I listen. I have totally. Since you said it, I forgot it. All I know is Stevie
Bye-bye.
Wonder. All right. Take
Peace
care.
and love, Dr. Cosby. Thank you so much, and we hope to have you again.
There's no way you could be bored with Bill Cosby. It's
Oh my
absolutely no way.
gosh. What an
Listen,
honor.
we know we ran totally over, folks, and we're gonna quickly wrap with a black fact for you. I think Niele has a black fact, and we will close out with our black-owned newspaper. And the black fact that I have, and Mr. Cosby alluded to it actually, on this date in 1962, Jackie Robinson was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Robinson was one of the most renowned forces in the world of professional baseball. There were so many firsts with Jackie. Of course, he was the first black Major League Baseball player. Jackie Robinson on this date was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1962.
All right. And on this day in 1967, the Detroit riots, and I like to call it civil unrest, began, sparked by a police raid, leading to 5 days of unrest and violence. Now, the civil unrest are seen as a catalyst for the Black Power movement and a reflection of deep-seated racial tensions in the city. And the civil unrest ended on July 28th. So that's what happened today in Black history.
Wow, there's a couple of great gems, Niele, for black facts.
For sure.
And our black-owned newspaper of the day is the Cincinnati Herald. It was established in August of 1955. The Cincinnati Herald is the longest-running African-American newspaper in Cincinnati, Ohio. The Herald's primary purpose as a newspaper is to take the general news as it relates to the Black community and tell what that really means for the community. The Herald offers daily articles to keep people informed on the latest news, community events, pop culture, and more. They also have a YouTube channel known as the Herald TV if you prefer to watch your news instead of reading it. Check out the Cincinnati Herald. Check out their website, their YouTube, and if you're in Cincinnati, pick up a physical copy of the paper.
All right. And for the latest in Black news and headlines that are uplifting and impacting the Black experience, you can head over to BlackPressUSA.com.
Thanks again for joining Let It Be Known, everybody. And thanks again to Bill Cosby. We will see you tomorrow.
Excited. I talked